Marketing Podcast. My name is Paul Finck, the Maverick Millionaire, and we are here to create a different world for you and everybody else by doing it different and showing you how people all around the world are doing it different today and every single day. Today, I'm with somebody who is amazing, and he impresses me. And for all of you that follow me, you know that's not an easy thing. This guy knows what he's doing, and he's been doing it for a long time for him. However, only a few short years. However, it's been most of his life, or at least it seems. This guy is Joe McCarthy, and he's just amazing. A 20-year-old entrepreneur. And I know. He's 20. What does he know? Only this guy has done a deep dive and created amazing results. He specializes in social media branding. You want to know how to do social media, you dive deep into the young ones who have been living it and breathing it since they were able to breathe itself. He grows branding and growth for businesses, and he's worked with over 4,000 different companies building up their brand, developing real results. And I want him to talk about some of the results that he's created for these companies, which is truly amazing, and teaching you how to scale the business and why it is so important. So let's get started. First of all, Joe, welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. I appreciate you having me on. It's an honor.
It is an honor to meet you. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, and I am always so excited to meet people that are living and breathing it from an early age. I know there's so many people that we look at that get to a certain age in their life and they go, oh crap, how did I waste all this time? What have I been doing? Let me stop building other people's dreams and let me build my own. And then I meet somebody like you who have decided early on, learned what it meant to build your own destiny, and took the bull by the horns and did it yourself. And so impressed with getting to know you and talking to you. With social media, how did you get started? What's the story here?
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. I grew up on a farm, right? So like super humble beginnings. I had, some chickens, maybe some ducks and turkeys and stuff. And basically, I was probably like 6 years old, right, when I got my first batch of chickens, and it just, slowly grew into, a little bit bigger, until it was basically like a full on business. But one issue I was having is, I had all these products, right? I had tons of eggs, tons of chickens. My freezers and fridges were full of products, but I didn't know how to sell, right? So like I was doing old school things, knocking on doors, putting up, road signs and stuff like that, saying, hey, come buy my eggs. But nobody was buying. So I saw a couple farmers kind of around my area. They were utilizing like Facebook and Instagram, social media, and they seemed to be doing pretty well. They had, content they were putting up, they were promoting, their products. So I decided, why not? Let's try it out. So I was probably around 13 or 14 when I started doing that, and just slowly built up this brand, grew my pages, a couple thousand followers each pretty quickly, and just, started diving into like content. And people loved the brand so much that pretty much like as soon as I got product, right, I was selling out. So that's when I kind of had this like epiphany, like social media, right? It's a super powerful tool if you use it right. So I started diving into that, basically just came across different books, Napoleon Hill, Robert Kiyosaki, just the classics. So I just dove into those, learned about coaching, entrepreneurship, leadership, just got super immersed in growing a business. And then one of my buddies hit me up that I've been texting back and forth, right, on Instagram, just because I've been networking. And he said, hey, let's start this company, or, grow this agency. Is basically the company that, I decided to partner with, where we basically help scale up thousands of brands, help them get out to more people. And I started, along that time, I'd say probably 16, 17, I started posting on my personal brand, putting out content, making videos. And I was having a hard time growing it. So, I was testing all these different methods, just trying to figure out, what's the best way to grow, a social media page. Because it's super hard these days to get, 10, 50, 100,000 followers. So me and my buddy, we just did all these different experiments until we found something that worked, and the rest is, basically history. We've, scaled up our accounts to hundreds of thousands. We've helped thousands of other people scale up their pages. And that's basically in a nutshell, how I got started.
On your page right now, and it's right now, and it's probably going to change by the time we even air this. Only you're well in excess of 300, almost at 400,000 followers right now with your Instagram account. That's huge, and most of the people that are listening aren't anywhere near those numbers. And I'm going to ask you a couple things. Well, first I want to talk about, a lot of people have ducks and chickens. It doesn't mean they create a multi-billion-dollar brand company from that as their experience. What makes you different? Like if you looked at all your buddies and all the people that you know that are in your age group even, and what made you the guy that built this, whereas your buddy down the block is still like figuring out how to put on his pants? Like, what made you different? Any idea? Have you been able to do the self-reflection on that?
Yeah. So those are really good questions. So there's a couple of things that come to mind. Number one, I would say is like the work ethic. Because like when you're running a farm, it's like, it doesn't matter if it's -3 degrees outside. If you don't go feed the animals, you're going to die. Right. So basically that discipline of having to go out every single day, no matter, how you felt, what the weather was, how the animals were, you basically had to go out and, work every single day. So I think kind of like that repetition and just that discipline helped to build this like indestructible work ethic, in me, to where like, I don't care if, it's a day after school, I have, 4 hours of homework, I'm studying for exams, I'm going to take like 5 hours till like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. to dive into business. Cause I have a big work ethic. Number two, I would say, is that I actually love what I do. Right. So like, I think a lot of people, they don't have the, privilege like I did to find out what they actually like to do and figure out how to make money from it. So they're kind of just wandering throughout life, going to college, not knowing exactly what they want to do. Whereas with me, right, I was probably 7, 8 years old. I knew that, I didn't want to work for anybody. I wanted to do my own thing, run my own business. I don't care if I started with farming, I knew that I wanted to sell my own service or product. And with social media, it just happened that I loved putting out content. I loved building brands. I loved, helping other people with social media. So I think the second thing is just that I loved what I was doing, to where, I'd work a 12, 13-hour day or 15-hour day and not even really realize it, because it was kind of what I do anyways. Right.
I love the way you described the person who's the lost soul, who really doesn't know their way and trying to figure it out, as the guy who's going to college. Love that. Love that. And, and it's so important to know yourself, and to know that that it doesn't matter the education, the formal education. What you did is you grabbed hold, understood who you were, what motivated you, what you enjoyed, and went and applied that work ethic into that, and put your head down and just did it. And it's such a great, that alone, as far as the message and what you can be telling people out in the world, Joe, that is a powerful message. And it's so few people, no matter what age, have been able to do that and understand themselves well enough to get into the trenches, get it done, and stay focused on, laser focused on a goal that they really want to accomplish, that they want to create in their world. I give you all the kudos for all that you've done. It's going to set the stage and the platform for the rest of your life. And that's a message that is so powerful. And for you to get out there and tell that message alone is a worthy task for the rest of your life, over and above everything else that you're going to accomplish. Because I know this is only the beginning. And watch this guy, watch what he does. Because when you're able to create this kind of magnitude of results this early on, the sky's the limit.
Exactly.
And it's so great. Let's get back into social media. Let's talk a little bit about that with branding and what companies do. And I work with a ton of entrepreneurs in building up their business, building up their brand, attempting to figure out how to monetize it. What's some of the biggest mistakes, or the biggest mistake you see people make in branding their company?
It's a good question. So I think ultimately if you're just starting out, I think a lot of people, they don't put out content that is valuable. They kind of just either don't really post at all, or they, post what people aren't really going to engage with. I think another thing is they don't really put out themselves. So I see a ton of companies, right? They may post, content or videos of like their products, or maybe they're posting just random gifts and stuff like that, but it's not like them. It's not like them on camera talking to the actual audience. They're not really making a connection. Because I think as a business owner, or even just, having a company page, you want to have somewhat of like a personal connection, because you are the business, right? So if you can put yourself in front of camera, start posting consistently at least a couple times a week, and you're posting like your face, I've seen that be like a huge game changer. That's something easy, right? There's other things, little things that people do that could, improve their skills with marketing and with, getting more growth. But I think the simple thing is just putting yourself out there, putting your face out there, because people want to get to know you, as a person, versus the company, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And you mentioned something, they're not putting out valuable content. Define valuable content.
Yeah, so I think another thing is they don't like define their niche, because like I think one thing I tell people is, if you're going to start out in like social media marketing, like have like a brainstorm session, write down exactly like who you're trying to help. Because like if you're trying to help everybody, right, like you're just, I'm just going to go out and post content and, try to help everybody, you're basically not helping anyone. Like I think the people who really make a big impact are people that have somewhat of like a guidance to who they're helping, whether it's like, hey, I'm going to help the 18 to 25-year-old young entrepreneur getting in the game. And then you just almost formulate all your content to that. So you have kind of like this consistency with what you're providing. And then I think a lot of times people post content, like I said, just random gifts, or they post just like, videos that aren't really helping people. Like you may post content, and maybe you think it's awesome, right? But you kind of have to go in your audience's shoes and think like, will my audience find value from this? Because you want some kind of incentive for an audience to stick on and engage. So if there's no value, if they can't extract anything from that, you're not really going to grow, basically.
What would be a example of an incentive for them? Is it simply to be entertaining, or is there more to
Yeah,
it than that?
yes. I mean, it really depends on like what your niche is or what you're trying to do. Like for me personally, right, I couldn't really get away with just posting funny stuff, right? Because like I'm specifically trying to help like young entrepreneurs like with business. So I'll give tips, right? So like let's say, I'm giving like my 3 tips to XYZ, or what I would do if I was starting from zero, or how to XYZ, right? So I'll put out this content or these reels that actually help people, and then maybe mix it in with behind the scenes stuff, travel stuff that's, like I said, engaging, so they can get to know you as a person. I think mixing in that stuff with the valuable content, which, like I mentioned, is, something that's they're going to get value from. I think that's like the main thing. But like I said, if you just put out solely like content that's not providing value, or if you're just using Instagram almost as like this, portrait of like a photo album, like it's not really going to grow as a brand, basically.
Yeah, putting yourself out there, being real, putting your face on everything, so that people have a persona, something to connect to, is part of your messaging and what you're talking about. Absolutely, because there's an old adage that people buy from people that they know, like, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
And when they don't know you, they know a company name, they know a company logo, but they don't know who's behind the curtain. They don't trust you enough to buy from you.
Exactly.
And especially not in a large way. And the higher your ticket item, the higher it is that you
Oh
need
yeah.
trust, the more trust that you need. Fascinating stuff. So we've kind of talked around it, only there are some people, and I know it's hard to believe, there are some people that don't believe that all this work on social media, which it does take a ton of work. There is no company I know right now that is doing well on social media that doesn't have a support team and support help to make it happen. Why do we need to spend all this time and energy on social media?
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, I think if you are trying to scale up a business in 2023, like if you're not on social media, then you're quickly falling behind. Like I know there's obviously, old school guys, they say, hey, I get all my business from referrals or in person, XYZ. But like I guarantee you there's like an untapped market, especially on Instagram. So like if you're not on there creating content, building a personal brand, like you're missing out on like a huge chunk of potential clients, potential reach as well, with just making an impact with content.
Right.
So I think like if you aren't, creating content and building a brand, then you're, hugely missing out.
You focused on Instagram, and that's obviously your main force. You have expertise and ability to work with all the platforms. However, you've chosen Instagram as the nail that you put up on the wall. Why Instagram?
Yeah.
What makes that different than the other
Yeah.
platforms, or what kind of company would go to Instagram versus the others?
Yeah. It's a good
Expand on
question.
that a little.
Well, I mean, I think I'm kind of biased, right? Because I've crushed it on Instagram versus like Facebook, TikTok, stuff like that. So I think it also depends on like what your business is, right? So I think like the younger audience definitely would vibe towards TikTok, right? So if you're selling to like a younger audience, do TikTok.
Hold
I
on,
think
hold on. You're 20. How much younger an audience am I going after here? What do you
I'd
mean?
say teens. But yeah, I would say like Facebook is more so like organic. It's more for like the older, generation who are looking to do like bigger stuff. Instagram is more so like it's almost like a melting pot. Like there's young people on there you can get business from. I know a ton of like older people who you can get business from on Instagram. And then pretty much everybody is using Instagram these days just to build a business. And then just, algorithm wise, it's easier to grow. It's easier to reach more people, especially if you do it the right way. Like your content can reach tens of thousands of people versus, with Facebook, you have to really get it right, get in early, to be able to reach thousands of people. And then with, LinkedIn, it's more professional, right? So you're not going to reach a huge audience necessarily with LinkedIn, but it might be a little bit more, high scale. But with Instagram, like I said, it's kind of like this big melting pot. So it's almost like the perfect mean for literally everybody. Plus, like I said, I'm a little biased because Instagram was the first platform I used. And obviously I've done really well on it. I probably get 80-90% of my business just through it. So, just for personal experience, I think Instagram is the best for bringing in, clients and stuff.
Is there anybody that Instagram wouldn't work for? Any type of business that Instagram would be like, yeah, you know what, that's not going to work.
Well, so I would say the only people like I've talked to like really, high ups, like people that, have billion-dollar companies. And obviously like some of their clientele may not be like browsing Instagram, right? They're doing much bigger and better things. So for like the very small amount of people that, they're already making a ton of money, they really don't need to be on social media. Those are really the only people I can think of, who don't necessarily need to or won't benefit a ton from it because they already have a ton of stuff established. But for like the everyday person, or even just like 98% of people who do, who would, enjoy a little bit more
Right.
business, a little bit more exposure, Instagram is definitely a huge benefit.
Even with the companies that are well established, is there and in history, we've watched companies that, man, they were the top of the game, and then over the next decade they lost everything and they weren't in the game at all anymore. And what I would say is most companies, if not all companies, no matter what size they are, they need to be actively involved in social media.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they're over the next 5 years, they're going to be gone.
Yeah.
Because they won't have the presence with the new market. They won't have a presence with the new buyers.
Yeah, exactly. I think like one issue is they don't like adapt, right? So like really only the ones that adapt and evolve are the ones that are going to continue to crush it. So like I said, like towards the beginning of this podcast, right? If you're not on social media, like even if you don't think you're going to benefit a ton from it, like I guarantee you kind of like moving down the line in the future, like it's going to benefit you hugely to have a social media presence. And some of the biggest, names in the space, right? Whether you're an entrepreneur or just like the biggest companies, they're investing tens of thousands of dollars into, their growth on social media, marketing, ads, all kinds of stuff. So a lot of them are starting to get in touch with, investing into social media. But yeah, there's definitely, a few that think they're too big to fail. So I guess we'll just have to, see what happens.
Ooh, I could name companies that took that philosophy, and yet you wouldn't even know their name.
Yeah, exactly.
There's ever hear of a company called Blockbuster?
Yeah.
Just wondering, you know, and it's companies like that, and even companies like IBM was the player in the computer age,
Mhm.
and then they lost traction. Like no one would think about buying something other than an IBM way back when computers started,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then they got lost in the shuffle. There's so many companies that are around now that need to look at history and recognize, unless they're doing the things that are the next generation, they're going to miss out. And
Mhm.
there's no question that it happens, and it's cyclical, and it'll constantly turn unless you're looking at how to innovate, how to change, how to invest in your future. You're going to miss.
Yep,
And
exactly.
everything that you're doing, Joe, you're in the right space at the right time. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Um, we've got people that are listening all around the world, and especially United States, Canada. With all of our listeners, what are some key takeaways? Someone wants to grow their brand now on Instagram. What are the three top things that they should be doing?
Well, I mean, you could go into like just like strategies with like, hey, post reels, do this, do that. But I think like one issue I see a ton of people having is more like a mindset thing. They're like too scared of what people are going to think. They're scared, like, what if this video flops? What if this piece of content doesn't reach people? What if this? What if that? And it's like they get bogged down by this what if. So they don't even start, right? So it doesn't even matter like what tools and like what different like strategies to get engagement if you're not even gonna post. Like it took me a while to get comfortable putting videos out on camera, but like once I did it, it's like a spark. It creates this momentum, like I was telling you. And if you can put like 20-30 videos out, it just I used to probably take 40 retakes of a video. Now I can do it in like 1 or 2 retakes, or not even, like I can do it in one take, right, and put it out. So it gets so much easier.
So wait, I got it. So
Yeah.
with the retakes.
Yeah.
So, and this is such a common thing. So you used to take 20 or 30, 40 retakes, and now
Easily.
you do, one take wonder.
Yeah. One video would take me like an hour.
However, is the one take any better than the ones that used to trash?
Yeah. I mean, like I would
Uh,
probably do 40 retakes. It would take me an hour and they weren't even like that good. Like when I scroll down on like my Instagram feed, I look at some of my videos, I'm like, I cringe because like I was not so confident, but
So
yeah,
with the experience, you've gotten better and better. And so
100%.
that's the ability. Only the reality is even their worst is better than nothing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
even if like I mean, like it's not going to be the worst forever, right? So like obviously you're never really good at first anyway. So like you might as well just put out a piece of content and take action. And then as you continue to put more out and more out, you're going to see that you build more confidence. And then, like I said, it becomes way easier to where you're, at video 40, right? One retake or just one take, it's going to be better and more high quality than the first video you put out, which took 40 different, retakes. So it gets a lot easier. And going back to like my tip, I'd say like, don't care what, other people think. Like you're probably going to flop on, your couple first pieces of content anyway. So you might as well get it over with, put it out. And then as you continue posting, it's going to get, more high quality as you get the experience. But yeah, mindset wise, you're gonna obviously die, right? So like, why do you care what like Mr. Joe across the world and Australia thinks about your video if they're not going to be at your funeral? They're not going to really care. Ultimately, you might as well just put out the content and do what you want to do, because like I said, at the end of the day, life is pretty short. So I don't think you should just be stuck kind of caring what other people are going to think.
Such a valuable message. And you're so right. So many people worry about all the people that are never going to be at their funeral, but they worry about what they think rather than creating a
Yeah.
life for themselves and their loved ones and their closest friends.
Exactly.
What a big difference. So cool. All right, I've got a couple things. We'll do some lightning round questions here, just to get to know you a little bit outside of the business world. What's your favorite hobby to do?
So recently, I don't know if you've heard of Andy Frisella, but he does this thing called 75 Hard. It's like a challenge with fitness. So I actually got super into just like working out, believe it or not. Like I was also a very skinny kid. So like I like to, kind of get into like fitness recently. So that's one thing is I might just take like an hour or two to, go to the gym or rewind, go on a walk, a bike ride. So that's something recently, but even more recently is like day trading. It's more like, I know it's more like high risk, high reward, but I've gotten into like, just putting like, $4,000 or $5,000 into, just day trading and kind of learning that, because a couple of my buddies do it, and it's kind of something just fun to try out.
Great thing to try out, only as an
Only
hard
with money that you
fast,
can afford to
yes,
potentially lose.
as
Yeah.
a hard and fast entrepreneur, go build business. I heard Grant Cardone talking on an interview once, and they were talking about stock market, and the guy was interviewing him and was like, oh man, who was obviously really into stocks, and
Yeah.
asked Grant Cardone, oh, what stocks do you invest in? Grant laughed.
Yeah, exactly.
Why? He said, I don't invest in stocks. I invest in the company.
Yeah.
I control what I invest my money in. That's the word of advice. Don't do day trading. Go take your money, invest in other companies, build other companies, keep building more and more brands. You're great at building brands. Just grab a company, build a brand, and take a percentage of the profits. That's my tip of the day, and it's something that I help my clients do all the time. Learn how to scale and how to monetize what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a great point.
That's the power play. That's where you want to spend your time.
I love it.
And little advice from an older entrepreneur, if you will, on how to build it. Great, you're in a great place though. So on a personal note, favorite book you'd recommend everyone to read?
I mean, my personal favorite is Rich Dad Poor Dad, but I feel like everybody recommends that. I would probably say like a book that I recommend is the 10X Rule, like you were just talking about Grant Cardone. So the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, I think that just teaches you how to like think big. Like I had, small goals, but like I've recently had these massive goals, right? And like that helps a ton, right? So I think like that helps you kind of see what's possible. Cause like I never would have thought like, at 20 years old, you can make, 10, 15, 30, $50,000 in a month, right? Like most people make that in a year. So it just helps you kind of see what's actually out there, what's possible. So I'd say 10X Rule, honestly, by Grant Cardone.
Excellent choice. Favorite music? What do you listen to?
Dude, I listen to all, I mean, it depends on the day. I listen to like classic rap, heavy metal, pop, rap. I mean, like there's some like musicals that I've listened to. My wife loves musicals. So like, I mean, she's got me into like some recent like classical type music. So there's really no like rhyme or reason for like what kind of music I listen to. It's really just depending on my mood or like the day.
That's awesome. And you mentioned your wife. How long have you been married now?
I actually just got married in March. So I know a lot of people don't get married super young, but I just got married recently in March. So, I mean, I've known her since high school, which is funny, like probably 6-7 years. So like we kind of knew that, once I'm out of high school, moved out, like established, like it's probably like a good next move. And I think it's awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It is having a great partnership is what will build you to another level as well. It makes you a better person.
Exactly.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, great stuff for everybody. And we've got a ton of people that are listening here, as I said, all around the world. Last bits of advice for everyone.
I'd say, like I said, if you're not on social media, get on it ASAP, right? Especially with Instagram, start posting, just put out the content. Like, even if you're a little bit scared of what people think, right? Just start posting content. It'll get easier. It'll get better. As far as like practical tips, obviously reels and video content, that's doing really well right now. So maybe start putting out more reels, more video content. But yeah, other than that, I think just, making sure you take action at the end of the day is the most important thing. Cause I know a lot of people, right? Like they read up on business, they study, they do research, almost as this like delay to actually go and make something happen. But I think you learn 10 times more and 10 times faster if you actually go out and just, implement and take action. So at the end of the day, one of my biggest messages on my page is just take actions. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, absolute. Could not agree with you more. Take action, take action, take action. Joe, absolute pleasure. Everyone, you got to find out what this guy is doing today. All his information is right here on the page. You want to get in touch with Joe McCarthy and find out how he can help you build your brand on Instagram and all social media platforms. He's the person to get in touch with. I would highly encourage you, have a conversation at the very least. All his information is here. This is where we grow and develop and do things different. And Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This is Paul Finck. This is the Maverick Do It Different podcast, and we do it different every day to create the world that we all want to live in. Talk to you soon, guys.
Thanks for being here today. As our gift to you, be sure to go to themaverickuniverse.com where you can download your free copy of the Maverick Manifesto. Until next time, dare to be different. Dare to be a Maverick.